Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, Yvonne Crayer, Leigh and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Leigh, Yvonne, and myself, with the Realm of Beings, eagerly invite you to join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm here with my co-hostesses, Gretta, Yvonne, and the Realm of Beings. We're really happy to be on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for joining us today. When you hear that term, Realm of Beings, but you ask yourself, who are they? How do they operate in our lives? Why are they coming through with these messages now? Do we all receive guidance? And if we do, how can we learn to use it to flow through our life with ease? These conversations will help you examine your life and your creation of reality. They will help you to shift your impressions and understand what you are creating in your life and how it shows up. So let's start shifting impressions. Today, we are working with the quote, "This life is an interesting phenomenon in which everything works out for our good." This podcast is airing the day after Thanksgiving. So we thought at the start of the holiday season and at the time when we, can reflect maybe a little more, especially with the slowdown of winter, about the things in our life that are showing up. Is everything really good? I mean, we'd like to think so. It's supposed to be the time of appreciation and gratitude for all of the abundance around us. But do we always look at it like that? And if we don't always look at it like that, why? And what can we do to perhaps shift and start to see the things that are showing up is always for our benefit, even if it doesn't initially feel that way. Ladies, what do you have to say?
Wow. Is there a difference between appreciation and gratitude? That's what kind of pops up for me. And if so, what is it?
Go ahead, Yvonne.
Yeah, I'm just contemplating. I'm just kind of sitting here. We hear those terms, people throw them around pretty loosely, thinking they're the same. They mean the same thing, but do they? Do they really? Does appreciation equal gratitude? And what's the difference?
I think gratitude is a state of being thankful for something. I think it takes it down to a deeper level than appreciation, but to be thankful, I think you have appreciation in it. So I think they both work really simultaneously together. I appreciate you as a person. I am thankful for you being in my life. So I think they both work hand in hand with each other. I think what we as individuals, being part of the human race, need to recognize that everything works for our good. There's nothing that does not. And I know I'm doing two negatives again. I continuously do that all the time. But everything, because we've been given lessons. Now, some people believe that the lessons, we choose the lessons. We don't choose the lessons. The lessons are given to us. What we choose is how we're going to learn those lessons. So in essence, we've asked for all these experiences for us to evolve. So it is for our good, regardless of what we create. We might stub our toe and add the 4-letter word with it when we do it, but it's the idea that you created that. See, everything, I think our audience needs, what we would like them to realize is that we create everything that we experience. If it's a personal experience, we create that. Everything, I don't care what it is. If it's to hiccup, you created that. If it's to fall down, you created that. If it's to skin your knee, you created that. To get a headache, you created that. You create everything. To have a joyful presentation made to celebrate your birthday, you created that. Everything is create, support, support, create, and that's going on simultaneously. So if we look at it from that way, to stub our toe is working for our good. To get a dis-ease is also working for our good. Even though we go, oh my God, how did I create this? You know, type of thing. But it's for your good because you've chosen the lesson. And that is how you're going to learn the lesson. How? That's the important thing.
Let's go back to the example of the stubbed toe just quickly. So when you stub your toe, you can either just say, oh, the 4-letter word, and just move the piece of furniture that might be in the way or something like that. Or you can like remunerate it all day about how you have a stubbed toe and blah, 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 and how much it hurts and it could be broken. So those are two very different reactions. One is like a recognition of it and actually moving something forward to like for a positive or like a different experience in the future. Because if you move that piece of furniture or whatever you might have created to cause that stubbed toe, it's a change versus like just staying stuck in the energy of like the stubbed toe. So that's kind of what comes up for me a little bit.
I also want to say that Yvonne, and you use the word future. So I'd like our audience to realize that there is no future, that there is no past, there is no future, there's only the now. Everything is going on right now, simultaneously. The other thing is, if you stubbed your toe, I think about 2 episodes prior to this one, we talked about mental equivalencies. Mm-hmm. So for everything you experience, there's a mental equivalency as far as your body is concerned. Whatever happens with your body, it's telling you something. So there's a mental equivalency attached to that. So stubbing the toe is an accident. If you stubbed your toe, then your unconscious is showing you that, okay, you're angry. You're angry about something. So it gives you an opportunity. Once you recognize that, then that gives you an opportunity to go inside yourself and look at what are you angry about. It gives you an opportunity to deal with that. That's why everything's working for your good. That's why stubbing the toe was a good thing. Because had you not stubbed the toe, you wouldn't, some of us don't even think we're angry about things when in actuality we are. And we hold on to the anger. Mm-hmm. So the stubbing of the toe is a paramount experience that we created. We unconsciously created that oops, I stubbed my toe, and you're right. There are 2 ways that you can take it. But if you understand that you create your own reality, the first thing you're going to go to is, why did I stub my toe?
Yeah. And then deal with the anger, right?
Right.
Rather than it like sort of like, I don't know, use the word like kind of percolating in there and like creating more anger. Because if you don't deal with it, if you don't pause, and if you don't deal with it, it could turn into a bigger anger incident, I would say. Right? Maybe.
Absolutely, because one of the other things is that it affects your liver. Tell you the truth, it affects every cell in your body.
Mhm.
Every cell knows that you're angry. Every cell, because we think that, okay, the cells are operating, it's just a cell. No, it isn't. It's a living being. Each cell in your body is a living being. And it's supporting you in existing in this thing called life, existing where you are. They support you, and they assist in showing you that how you feel. Like, let's go back to the toe. I can feel Leigh's got some questions on her mind right now. I feel it.
Jump in, Leigh. Jump in.
How did you know, Greta?
I can feel it, Leigh. I can feel it. Let me stop. You go ahead. What were you going to say?
Okay, before we go too far away from my question, from the root of my question, if we can recognize and have some awareness that the things, take a little pivot and understand that, okay, I stubbed this toe. I want to curse and cry, but let's look at it. What am I feeling? What can we use to help us? I mean, to understand why we're creating this. Well, two things. Let me walk back a little bit first. Is it accurate or inaccurate to say that when something is manifesting on the physical plane in the body, is that sort of the, when you do not deal with something, it's sort of the last place it shows up to knock on your door to get your attention, because we're walking around in these bodies, and when we stub the toe or break the arm or we create the dis-ease, it's like, hello, I've been trying to get your attention. And this thing we kind of think we pay attention to, so it comes there to give you a little pause. Yes.
Absolutely.
No?
Absolutely. You're right on target, Leigh. Because what happens is, if we miss the lesson, it's going to come and show us. It's going to come up again. But how it comes up very strongly and translates into our physical body is because we put emotion to it. See, the emotion is the driving force. So the anger, that means if I'm angry about something, I'm angry about my boss, whatever. We're storing that, and the anger is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So consequently, it's going to show up. I'm not going to go into details of how that happens, because we don't have a lot of time for that, but it shows up. So it's going to show up in us stubbing our toe. It's going to show up there. That's the physical representation of what we've been storing. But like I said, when it comes to the physical representation of it, we've been working on that for quite a while to get that going within us. Yeah, so You're absolutely correct about that.
Okay, and maybe when we come back from our next break, we can share with the listeners, because this could be a new concept for people, these mental equivalencies. Maybe when we come back from the break, we can share with them some resources where, that they can access to start looking into these things. But And then my other question is, if you're unaware of these mental equivalencies, I mean, where does a person start, even if the only thing they've heard was this life is an interesting phenomenon in which everything works out for our good. And that's what they hear, and they say, everything works out for my good. My cat died. That's for my good. So if you're not aware of the mental equivalencies, what is a starting point, where you can say, instead of being in abject sorrow because your, cherished cat died, to look at that from another perspective?
I think if no one knows about creation of reality, then they're going to go through these lessons. And a lot of times they will loop. Because, the three of us have looped.
Of course,
on
still
things.
looping.
Still looping, right. So, it's almost like I equivocate that with just being out there. You don't have that tool, and you feel, you go through suffering, pain, anguish, you feel downtrodden, because you've accepted the illusion so much. See, it's the acceptance of the illusion, and you feel that there's no way out. That there's no way out for this. And some people, when they reach that point, they feel that there's no way out, then they decide that they're going to remove themselves permanently from where they are at this point, however they choose to do that. But it's just, I think one way of learning about that is by our audience being with us every Friday.
Yes.
If they're with us every Friday, those are people that really want to understand how to transform their lives. And that's a great thing. Because
and shift their impressions. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
We shift together. So
yes, we do. And if one shifts, we all shift. So it just takes one, because we're all part of the same. We're all part of the same force.
Yep.
So, yeah. I know for me, what's helpful, I've been very cognizant of like things that come up in my physical body when I feel a certain way, or I have that lesson of this, we keep going back to the stubbed toe, whatever it is that might be causing me anger at that moment. I sort of listen to the whispers of my body and think, where is that? And that gives me an opportunity to really take a pause and allow that message, emotion, that fire to come up, and almost embrace it and say, yes, I'm grateful for what just happened here, this lesson, because it's given me a chance to shift, to grow, and to bring maybe another lesson in that I might need, at another moment.
Right. And I think
great. Thank you.
Brought in the word pause. So I know
exactly.
that Leigh is getting ready to take us out for our break.
Pause is a good time.
Thank you for joining us on Shifting Impressions. We do have to take a short pause, and we will be right back talking more about gratitude and appreciation and how we understand what we're creating in our lives. Thank you for listening to Shifting Impressions. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. I'm Yvonne. I'm here with Leigh, Gretta, and The Realm of Beings. And we are on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And wherever you are in the world, you can tune in your time zone. And we also have our podcasts recorded, and videos are up on YouTube. So thanks once again for joining us. Our show is called Shifting Impressions, and we're here to guide you, to facilitate an awareness and a shift. And we're being guided by the realm of beings, and the realm has provided quotations for us to ponder and to contemplate each week, which facilitates a conversation. And we welcome everybody to participate in these conversations by calling in. The number is on the Transformation Talk Radio website. Today we're talking about the quotation, "This life is an interesting phenomenon in which everything works for our good," even though we may not think that with our head, in our head space, or feel that in our emotions, but we're talking about how everything is a lesson, and that, just to be aware of the lessons and what they're trying to teach us. And what came up in our last little segment was the tools. We always like to give our audience some sort of tools, and Greta suggested that our listeners keep listening, so that we can keep having these conversations and having participation and having a deeper understanding and awareness of how we can shift out of some of the things that we might not feel are serving our highest good at this moment. So we wanted also to provide some resources. Greta, why don't you take it away? You've been working with these books for a while, and if you could, maybe if our listeners could get a pen and a pencil ready and jot down this information, and maybe search it out if you feel called to.
Sure. But before we do that, Yvonne, Leigh had something that she wanted to, another question or something that she wanted to say that's going to tie into
Sure.
working with those books. Leigh, what was that?
My question was, if you're unaware of the mental equivalencies and you just heard something like, wait, everything works out for my good, my cat just died and that doesn't feel so good. What do I have to learn from that? How do people make the pivot to try and understand how that is beneficial to them, or what lesson they're trying to learn from that?
What's coming to me when you ask that question is they change their minds. Maybe you don't know anything about creation of reality. But one thing you do know is when something happens to you, and you don't want it. I don't want that. So they're talking to the unconscious, even though they don't realize it. And that's okay, because at a different level of our beingness, we understand about the unconscious. We understand how it works at a different level, not at the conscious level, but at the unconscious level, we understand it. So people are still operating there. So they can say, I don't want this, and it'll go away because they've said, I don't want it. It's like once, I think I might have used this before, but I was experiencing carpal tunnel syndrome, and I couldn't even lift up a piece of chalk to even write on the board. I didn't know anything about creation of reality, not one thing. I wasn't doing the facilitation work that I do now. I was just there. So, but one thing I did know, I did not want carpal tunnel syndrome. So I remember I said, oh, I don't want this. I can't, how can I write? Because at that time, they had chalkboards and, not the fancy computer stuff and everything. So I said, how am I going to teach? I can't even lift up a piece of chalk. That's how interesting it was, So because I decided in my mind, I don't want this experience. So when I'm saying that in my mind, even though I didn't know it consciously, I was connecting with my unconscious. So what happened? I got rid of carpal tunnel syndrome and never experienced up to this day. And that's been about at least 50 years. So people who don't know about creation of reality are still in charge. They're still getting things. Like, I want to win the lottery, and they go out and they win the lottery. They didn't know anything about creation of reality, but it was just that something that they wanted, Leigh,
Yes. Well,
Right.
that's good to know. I mean, at least there is some sort of default operating system running the
Right.
program. So even if it's just that this quote unquote, my cat died, I'm sad. And on the second day of crying, you just say, hey, I've had enough of this. She was with me for a long time. We had a lot of good times together. Rest in peace, Kitty. And just make the choice to stop feeling sad about it and embrace and be appreciative and have gratitude for all the joy that animal produced while she was with you. Right?
That's right.
Ah, that feels so good.
I agree with that. And see, the other thing is that, well, I was just going to reiterate what you just said, Leigh, and it's that even though we don't know about creation of reality, we're still creating our reality. That doesn't stop.
Right.
You're creating your reality 24/7. Understanding that you create your reality helps you to take a little bit more control over it.
Yes.
When you understand it, then you have more control. Whereas a lot of people just think, okay, the universe has done this to me, God has done this to me, or I accept this. This is my fate. This is my destiny. All that kind of stuff is all rolled up into there. But when you understand about it, you know that you command your life. You are the commander. You are the creator of your life. You are in charge of your life, nobody else. Nothing else is in charge of you but you. That's what we've been given when we walked in here. Yeah. Now, Yvonne wanted about there are two books that we've been using to the audience, and that I want to say that Michael Fox has been given the credit for initiating the understandings of mental equivalencies. He has a tiny little pamphlet. I can't even remember the name of it, but it's Michael Fox. And he started mental equivalencies back in 1948. Now, I feel though that prior to 1948, people understood mental equivalencies, but I'm not going to give myself any homework on that because I'm still working on the three languages that speak in the now. And I haven't brought that up to the audience yet. So God knows I'm not going to give myself any more homework. But anyway, and there's several people that do this. Like they can take classes online that offer understandings about mental equivalencies. But the two books that we use is one, I think you have the titles, don't you, Leigh? Can you give that to us?
Yes. The encyclopedia. The Encyclopedia of Ailments and Disease by Jacques Martel is what I would regard as the pro or expert version. If you're been learning and you have some awareness about these things, definitely dive into that. But if you're just a beginner, the beginner guide, I would say, would be Heal Your Thoughts, Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
No, you can heal your life. You can.
I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right.
You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And she has, columns. You can kind of look up, everything from a sore throat to cuts to different organs. And she will provide you with a mental equivalency and an affirmation, but we can talk about that later. So those are the two resources, beginners and pro. So there you have it.
Right, because that Jacques Martel, for instance, in Louise Hay, she would talk about teeth. And she'll give you a general representation of mental equivalency. And usually it's just one sentence. But with Jacques Martel, you can go in and look at each tooth means something. Tooth number 52, tooth number 12. Each one of those represents something different. So that's why
That's
use
the pro
those.
version.
Yeah, that's the pro version. You got that right, and you're reading for days about it. He's very, very extensive,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no,
Yeah.
because you go through your list of ailments and then you say, oh, this happened to my father. Oh, my mother created that. What was wrong with her? What was wrong with him?
Yeah.
What's coming up for
interesting
me?
because it gives you some insights.
Yeah.
Yep.
Greta, like a lot of people would read that and they would be like, no, that doesn't, like, that's not true. Like, that's not true. Like, I don't think it's hard sometimes. We're so programmed that people, like, maybe at first glance, like that deep pro version may not resonate with us, right? I mean,
Well,
like,
that's why you have to start at the beginner section. If you're a beginner, something,
What do you-
you have to like ease yourself into it.
what do you tell people if they put up a big, big red flag in front of themselves and it's like, no, that's not what's going on for me. But then maybe down, like there's some sort of a change and then they do accept that. But how do you ease people into that, Greta?
That's a good question. How do I do that? I don't ease them into anything, to be perfectly honest.
They decide, here we go back.
They ease themselves.
They decide it's time to change, right?
Right, that's it.
Okay, you're just there holding space, right? You hold the space. You show up when they're ready to change something in their lives, right?
Right, it's support. It's always support because each one of us is supporting each other all the time. It's like we're in 3 different places. I don't know if everybody, the whole audience knows that, but Leigh is sitting in a whole totally different country from us. She's sitting in Turkey, okay? And Yvonne is sitting in Philadelphia, and I'm sitting in Chicago. So, but we're at that distance, but we're still giving support to each other because it's all energy.
Correct.
It's all energy, and we are in a constant support of each other,
And that feels good, like a good loop to be in. So
there's good loops.
Yeah, well, let's wait. I think we should take a little pause, take a little break now, and hold that thought, because when we come back, we will be hearing directly from the realm. So stay tuned. Definitely come, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break and we'll hear right from the realm. So if you have any questions, get ready to ask them.
Hello, and welcome back to Shifting Impressions. We have reached the point in our podcast where we have a direct link to the realm of beings. So Yvonne and I will start chatting with them and hear what their take on this gratitude and appreciation and creation of reality, and that all of our lessons are tied into that. So let's get started. Realm, are you with us?
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, Leigh, what is it you want to say?
Today, the quote we've been working with is, "This life is an interesting phenomenon in which everything works out for our good." Can you share with us about how our lessons, the how of our lessons are created?
Everything before you came in this physical form, being human, you chose how you wanted to learn the lessons that you were given. Some people didn't want to come. They were scared to come. So their emotion was then, but they were committed. They'd accepted. So they chose their parents. Some people chose parents where life would be, quote unquote, easy. Others chose parents that was going to give them a run for their money. But, as you say, a run for their money. But the thing is that all is good. For those who are having challenges in their lives, rise above that by just saying, you don't want this anymore. I'm changing. But some people decide they want to be downtrodden. Woe is me. Creating what you call pity parties. I think that's what you call them, pity parties. Why? There's no need. You've been given the information back in your unconscious. It's working all the time. You have the control to say, I no longer want to do this. I no longer want to experience this. You don't have to experience it unless you want to. Now, some people, now listen to what I'm going to say about this. Some people enjoy being in pain because that's all they talk about.
So is
All
that one of
this
the
hurts.
lessons?
Yes, but some people want to hang on to it because they haven't learned to be joyful. They haven't learned to love themselves. Some people think that to love yourself is selfish. Some people think, what is the use of doing that? Loving myself. What does that mean? It means a lot. It means that is focusing on creating a reality of joy and peace in your experience. Note I say in your experience.
So when people are here and they are creating the lower vibrational experiences, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a humanoid way to phrase that, but if they're experiencing abandonment or pain, like you said, physical pain, is anyone sent here specifically to just experience those things, or is everyone supposed to triumph over them? Like this earth plane, this 3D plane is supposed to be about joyful experiences.
See, the purpose really of this whole thing is to learn how to, you ladies talked about appreciation and gratitude, is to have appreciation and gratitude for the experience, of which some experiences you don't want to permanently have. You don't want to permanently have irritable bowel. You don't want to permanently have migraine headaches. So therefore, get rid of it. But each lesson, we want people to understand that each lesson, regardless of what it is, makes you a stronger individual.
It makes you stronger, not weaker. That is why you don't need a pity party. You command your experiences. You, nobody else. No other ethereal being commands your experiences. The only person, the only individual that commands that is you. You don't want something, change it. Change it. How do you change it? You release it. You've got to release it first. I release that. We taught Gretta a quick way. You say, I release that. I release those emotions. I no longer want them anymore. I no longer need them anymore. And then what do? Then you replace it with, what do you replace it with? Love of self. I love myself unconditionally. That is meaningful. Some people don't think that's meaningful. It's meaningful because it's dictating your creation of reality. When you love yourself, you're going to bring that to you. You're going to bring joy. You're going to bring the support to you. The first thing is to love self. We say that every time. But there's some people that think that that's not so important. We don't have to think that way. Well, don't think that way. Bring all kinds of stuff to yourself. When you love yourself, that energy is bringing you other energy to support you loving yourself, being joyful. It's not to say that you will be constantly in that state, because there are some lessons that you're learning. You know, we still go down there in the valley of condition. We still go there, but you don't have to stay.
The valley of condition. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
But I have, okay, while you were talking, I was sitting here thinking, and I'm going to take this down another road. So when the force creates an experience of like someone who creates to be a genocidal person, someone or a person who takes, how am I going to phrase this correctly? Because it's create support. So someone where there's a dynamic that we have learned about where some person created and supported to take the lives of many millions. What kind of dynamic, what's the lesson in the, what is the learning for those two people? The person who was doing the quote unquote doing the harm, and the person who was the support of that. What is the lesson for the force in that?
When do you mean when you say that, are you talking about people dying, transitioning out?
Yes, I'm talking about the force creating like a figure, you know, like a World War II sort of figure who we claim is responsible for millions of deaths, although naturally he didn't work alone. There were many people supporting his vision, let's just say. So yes, with all of those people. So that World War II figure was just the force creating. It was a way to support people who wanted to transition. That's how we look at it.
Well, they were during World War II. There were many people that were supporting the transition of others.
Okay, so that's how we look at that epoch in quote unquote history, as we can even see that it was just one figure was supporting the transition of these many because that was their choice.
Yes, it doesn't matter how many people transition.
Mm-hmm.
How many people transition? Look at the people that transitioned from the atomic bomb. Look at that. See, we decide. You've really taken us down the road, Leigh.
I know, but it came to me, so I thought I'd ask.
Yep, that's all right.
I have another road too, and it came to me as you were going down your road, Leigh, and the road of judgment. Who decides what's good and what's bad? Like these create support, creation of reality situations for me or for Leigh or for Gretta. Like, there's people that might not agree with our choices, or we might not, like, we might look at a situation and claim that is bad or that's good. Like that idea of judgment, like how does that fit in? How does that work with what we're talking about?
It depends on who the person is. It depends on your cultural framework, on your epigenetics, how you grew up. But all of that does not matter, really. It's
So
the
you're saying
lessons, it's the
judgment doesn't-
learning. It's the
Judgment doesn't
learning.
matter.
It's the learning.
Hmm.
It's the coming forward.
So we should be more focused on the learning rather than the judging of this being bad or good or.
Realm, are you with us?
I'm here. Greta's coughing.
So do you have anything to
Yes, I do.
key us in about judgment?
Judgment, anything, any of those emotions, any of those determinations, any of that. Everything is always create, support, support, create. It's always that. It doesn't change. It's that throughout all of existence. Even species that you don't even have never met in your life are dealing with create, support, support, create. Because that's how this whole thing functions. And as far as when you make your transition because you decided you were going to do that. And then one person, like you said, that one person, there were so many people helping people transition.
Right.
in
We like to
World War
view
II.
it as one person, but there were many assisting many. But
So-
I mean, I feel like that takes, it isn't really if you look at it from if you shift your perspective, it's not really an atrocity because no one did anything to anyone. There were agreements in place between those persons for that to happen. So who are we to say it's anything more than an agreement? Final thoughts, Realm?
The thing is that everything is working for your good. Everything, regardless of what it looks like. Because remember, you are living in an illusionary state to begin with. Like you believe in death, and death is not real. It's an illusion. Life is continuous. It goes into infinity. Each one of you is an infinite being. Unto yourselves, you're infinite. There is no end. There is no end. That is only your belief system. If thousands of people decide to move out, that is their personal decision that this is the time I'm leaving. That was a decision. This is a time I'm leaving. And so they get the support. They choose, how am I going to leave? Am I just going to go to sleep and lay down and leave? Is another person going to assist me in leaving? Am I going to assist myself in leaving? I decide. But that topic, death, is very deeply.
Yes.
It takes more than just these few minutes for us to discuss that with you. But the bottom line of all of this is that everything, if you want to judge it, notice what we said, if you want to judge it, everything is working for your good.
And on
See,
that,
yes,
go
see the
ahead.
deepness, see the deepness. Go deep into yourselves and you will see how something helped you change your life. Look at it that way. How does this headache help me to change my life? What is it showing me? How does this cancer experience help my life? What is it showing me?
Realm, thank you for sharing. And we have come to the end of this episode of Shifting Impressions. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Greta. Listeners, thank you for joining us today. And until we create each other again.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with Leigh, Yvonne, The Realm, and me, Gretta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multidimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.